All right, guys, this is Professor Olson taking a look at your grayscale portraits for the week one discussion, starting with Abigail. All right, Abigail, so you're doing Dolores O'Riordan from the Cranberries. This is a really great portrait, a great sort of composition for this, and there's a lot to like here. Here's a couple things that will help you out. So one thing is the details on these little foliage leaves is so out of character with the rest of the illustration. I would maybe simplify them, maybe make them a little bigger, a little chunkier, because you don't have that kind of level of detail in the portrait or the dove. So you kind of want to create a cohesive visual style for the whole illustration. On the dove, I feel like you're struggling a bit. I would maybe simplify it because it's really not the focal point, her face is. So you could maybe simplify it, make it more linear. If you do want to add some shapes, maybe simplify some of the details in there as well. So that might work a little better. Looks like you have the right number of grays, so you're off to a good start. You might take some of this dark gray and add a little bit of texture to the hair just to give it so it's not just a void of black. So I hope that's helpful. All right, next up we have Emily. So you're doing Justin Vernon. All right, you have too many grays. So everywhere where this light gray is should be white. And I don't know if you've added a frame or something, but I would probably not have a frame on it. You're using this sort of doubled up rule, which is kind of cool. It makes an interesting technique, but it sort of destroys the feeling of light and shadow because if you have strokes in between each level of light, it just sort of breaks it up. And then when you get into the nose here, there's a lot of confusion. Make sure you're using everything 100% opacity. It's kind of hard to tell, but it looks like maybe you've got some effects going on that could ruin your color relationships. This background illustration stuff is really cool. It's different. I do like it. So, I mean, your composition is great for this. So you're off to a really good start. Just, you got to consolidate those grays. And I'll just show you quickly, this is in the video in the assignment, but just so you guys all know how to do this. If you're an illustrator, this is some student work. So she's got a light gray and a dark gray and black and white. So it looks right. But if I select all this artwork, I'm just going to marquee the whole thing. And then I use this tool here, the Recolor Artwork tool. I click on that. This shows me all the grays being used in this illustration. You can see I've got 3 grays plus black and white. So that's a quick way to just check. And if you follow the video in the assignment, it'll show you how to manipulate it so that you only have 4 colors and you go into your color relationships. So quick tip there. All right. Andrea, I think I was saying that right. This is another great composition, really kind of interesting. A couple of things that I think would improve this. This sort of drop shadow in the back, I don't think that's necessary. And it looks kind of odd over here when she's sort of like cut out around the bottom. What I would do is maybe bring some of the words in and have them sort of chop it up, break it up with almost negative space or something so that the words sort of overlap part of her at the bottom. So you don't have that kind of harsh edge. And then in terms of the illustration, you've got this light gray and dark gray. This should be white. It's kind of hard to tell if it's actually white. I would maybe take some of your dark gray and put that on the upper lip, maybe add a little white highlight to the lower lip, take some of this light gray and use it to create some texture in the hair, especially down here where there's a big void area. And I think that you'll be happier with the illustration. This shadow around the nose, it just really looks very linear. I would make this more of a shape, maybe change the profile of the line work a little bit. and it might even continue up, but or taper off like right in there. So those are just a few little tips. You did a good job on the ear, simplifying it, which is nice. Overall, really good composition, off to a great start. All right, Kristen, I've seen this before. You got to move beyond the photo and get into your illustration. If you're having trouble with Illustrator, and I've shown you this before, how to use Photoshop to simplify the photo so that you can create your Illustrator file. All right, Roxanne, you're doing your mom too. So you've got some great elements here. Looks like a terrific reference photo. So I would, first of all, make this more of a freestanding composition. Right now you've got things sort of cropping off the edges, and it sort of crops at the bottom. So think about how you finish these things off so that they all sort of stand together on a t-shirt. And then in terms of the face, I feel like you're struggling a bit with the shadows and highlights. So you've got the lips really well established, part of the nose. The sunglasses just sort of obliterate everything. So, you know, maybe add some dark gray to highlight on the sunglasses. It looks like the right number of grays. Maybe a little highlight on the teeth, highlight on the nose. You've got one highlight here and one highlight here. And then you go straight to black. I don't think that all this should be black. You might make the base color of the face the light gray and then use your dark gray where you're using black right now. I think that might help it. But overall, just figure out your composition first, because you don't want to work on a bunch of stuff that's not going to actually be in the final. Her hair just is like a black, just straight void right now. You would add some highlights and stuff to that. All right, Maxwell, this is your niece. This is a really great start. You've got a freestanding composition. You're using this flower element and some type in a great way. I would say the face needs more detail. Define the bottom of the nose. There's got to be a shadow there. The lips maybe need a little more definition. And then some of this stuff in the hair just feels kind of like random shapes. Make it more deliberate. Simplify, like some of these little dots here. You know, just make sure everything you're putting in here is very intentional and following what you want it to be. But you've got a great start with a really good composition. All right, that's all the work we see here today. I'm looking forward to seeing more of your work tomorrow. I'll be back on tomorrow at noon. No one showed up today, so I hope you guys are reading this and using the link. Anyway, have a great day. Talk to you guys later.